Hi everybody, Dan Illman, Mike Beer for Breeders' Cup Focus. In this edition, we're going to take a look at the Breeders' Cup Dirt Mile. Let's take a look at some of the early contenders ranked by Daily Racing Form's Southern California analyst Brad Free's preliminary morning line. And of course, this will change. You can find everything online as we get closer to the Breeders' Cup at drf.com/BC. Let's run down the contenders. Accelerate at 7-2, More Spirit at 4-1, Sharp Azteca at 9-2, Battle of Midway, a 3-year-old, at 6-1, Giant Expectations at 6-1. Then we go to Awesome Slew and Midnight Storm at 12, Practical Joke at 15, Donworth at 20, and Gervin at 30-1. Accelerate, as always, I think struck us as a middle distance type. Thus, we won't fault him when he was beaten last time out in the Pacific Classic, stretching all the way out to 1.25 miles. We'll go back to the race preceding the Pacific Classic, however, the San Diego Handicap. This is the race where famously Arrogate did not show up,
right.
And this horse ran very, very impressive to beat Arrogate.
He really did run a nice race here. Obviously, he was helped by the big favorite not showing up in this race, because outside of Arrogate, he had absolutely nothing to beat in here, and he fairly romped in this trench with a solid figure of 109. The distance is good for him. The track's good for him. He's got a really nice running style, right up close. Doesn't need the lead like he had that day, but he can take it. There's plenty of things to like about him. I just sort of suspect, I guess he was made the early morning line favorite just because of the recent inactivity from More Spirit. I can't think of any other reason why he would be favored.
Has that really nice race, though, over the track. That race was at Del Mar, of course, home to the Breeders' Cup this year. He does have some speed figures. This is a horse I always thought early in his career had a tremendous amount of potential. Perhaps had failed to reach it, but recently he has put things together, Pacific Classic notwithstanding. More Spirit at 4-1 probably came through with the 1 mile performance of the year in the prestigious Metropolitan Handicap at Belmont. We're going to go look at that race right now. On the Belmont Stakes undercard, he pretty much grabs Sharp Azteca by the throat turning into the stretch and then just runs away from a very good horse in Sharp Azteca. Not a lot of running going on behind those two, but More Spirit just looked like a winner from start to finish. A breakthrough performance, absolutely. Where's he been?
I don't know where he's been. That's a problem. I don't know
where
if he can run this race again, and that could be a little bit of a problem, but make no mistake about it. If he runs that race again at any other point, I don't know if it's in the Breeders' Cup or somewhere else, whatever race that is, he'll probably win it. He was really impressive there. And as opposed to the race that we just saw from Accelerate, where once Arrogate didn't show up, he didn't beat anything. This horse buried a really good horse and a really good miler in that race in Sharp Azteca. We'll see if he can do it. If he shows up in the Breeders' Cup, we'll see if he can run back to that race, because if he does, he'll probably win.
Sharp Azteca ran a winning race in the Met. He just caught More Spirit on a monster day. Sharp Azteca came back. He proved his mettle around 2 turns against a weak field at Monmouth. And then most recently in the Kelso, which is sort of the New York road to the Breeders' Cup Dirt Mile, a 1-turn mile, he did this. He was supposed to win on paper. He set a very rated pace. They did not go after him at all. And in this situation, Sharp Azteca is very difficult to run down.
Yeah, he was, there was no other speed on paper in that race, and that's sort of just how it developed on the racetrack. They couldn't really make him work for it early, and once you don't make him work early, there's just no way you're going to beat him. He romps over this field. He's a really good horse. I sort of like it. I know that it was just the Monmouth Cup 2 starts back, and he wasn't beating a great field, but I liked that they got him a 2-turn mile in a 16th race, and he showed that he could do it. He romped in that race too.
We're filming this on Friday, September the 29th. Obviously, the Dirt Mile could undergo some changes with some of the major graded stakes action on Saturday the 30th. I wouldn't be surprised if the Awesome Again looks like a nice prep for the Dirt Mile as well as the Classic. Maybe a horse like Mubtahij would turn back in distance for a race like the Dirt Mile if he performs well off the layoff in his first start for trainer Bob Abbott. I want to ask your thoughts about Practical Joke really quickly. I think most folks would say that he is the best 3-year-old 1-turn horse in the country.
He is.
1 mile is certainly within his scope. Is the 2 turns just so scary that you wouldn't want to take a shot? Would that be the defining factor why you wouldn't pick him or use him at a big price?
No, I don't think so. We'll see. I mean, I do think he's a better 1-turn kind of horse, maybe 7/8 to a mile around 1 turn, but he's, the mile feels like it's a good distance for him. The 2nd turn, maybe it's a problem for him, maybe it's not. I'm not totally opposed to them trying this race. I think he deserves the chance to run in it. I'm also not totally opposed to a horse like Awesome Slew running this race. I think he's a better 1-turn, 7 and 8 furlong horse too, but he's won around 2 turns before. He needs pace. He should have pace in a Breeders' Cup race, I would hope, and he'll come running late. I think that's an interesting interesting horse for the Breeders'
And I
Cup.
believe he'll prep in the Ack at Churchill Downs on Saturday. Midnight Storm, who could be a key in the Breeders' Cup Dirt Mile, is expected to run in the Awesome again. If he does turn back, he could provide some company for Sharp Azteca on the early lead, maybe setting things up for a horse like Awesome Slew. Let's throw up the top contenders one final time here on Breeders' Cup, folks. Of the big three, who do you prefer right now?
Well, right now, I mean, I guess I'll say More Spirit just off of that mile win. I don't like, the inactivity since that race, and who knows if he'll even show up in the race, but I would have to take him if you told me how to pick somebody. Just I think he might be the most likely winner. But again, at a price, maybe a horse like Awesome Slew.
Giant Expectations, I don't think, should be completely overlooked in here. He's run some nice races, maybe not the gaudy speed figures of an Accelerate, a More Spirit, or a Sharp Azteca, but I think he's slowly gotten there since he's gotten out to the West Coast. I believe he's with Peter Urton right now. Breeders' Cup Dirt Mile, all the updated news and notes at drf.com/BC.